But this crisis has still hit us very, very hard. And the impact will be felt for a long time. Particularly, I'm sorry to say, the impact on our people. There are clearly some green shoots domestically. We're planning to be back to 40% of our pre-crisis domestic flying during July, and hopefully more in the months that follow. But we all know that we will be living with COVID-19 for some time. And recent events show we can't take a low infection rate for granted. It is very clear that international travel is likely to be stalled for some considerable time. IATA, the peak body for the airline industry, says it will take more than 3 years for global travel to return to 2019 levels. That means all airlines, including Qantas, must take action now. We have to position ourselves for several years where revenue will be much lower, and that means becoming a smaller airline in the short term. Today, we're announcing a 3-year plan to guide our recovery and take us through to the better days ahead. Many of the 6,000 job losses we've announced today are people who have spent decades here. They're people we know personally. They are people that we know for a long time. Separate to the 6,000 job losses, about 15,000 people will remain stood down for some time. People from whom we have no work, but we will have work for them in the future. Around half of those stood down will be back flying domestically, we think, by the end of this calendar year. The remainder, mostly those supporting international flying, will return to work more slowly. Thousands of Qantas and Jetstar people have already found secondary employment during their stand-down periods. And I'm literally getting feedback from their employers every other day about how positive they have and the contribution they've added to those businesses. We know our people are incredibly sought after. We know our people do an incredible job. And for many of our people on stand down, JobKeeper has made all the difference. We have had good discussions with the government about possibly extending JobKeeper or some other form of support for those in the aviation industry who will be stood down for an extended period. And I had a conversation with the Prime Minister and the Treasurer last night about that exact issue. We're also in dialogue with state and territory governments about their borders openings, because once that happens, we can get more of our people back to work.